You. By the way, so we are now going to join Steve Cotton. He's with Cotton Wealth Management, and as I say, he's got public affairs and government and business experience that lasts some 50 years. He's really kind of been digging into this as this day approached. Steve, good morning. What's your take on what's going on?
Well, this is probably one of the purest examples of pure politics in our system. This is not a shutdown that's justified on the basis of sound policy or even policy disagreements. This really stems from the fact that when we did the last so-called clean CR, Chuck Schumer opted to continue the government and voted for the clean CR, and he caught a lot of flack from his left wing of the party for it, to the extent that they were saying, well, we're just going to primary you in the next Senate primary, and we're going to run AOC or somebody against you because you're not sufficiently militant. And so he took a lesson from that. And this is really about protecting himself on his left flank. And he doesn't want to get primaried. And he's thinking this is a way that I can show that I'm, carrying the torch for the Democratic Party. But it wreaks havoc, as some of your listeners and viewers have said. It absolutely wreaks havoc on a personal level, particularly if they are laid off as a result of this dynamic. And I feel very bad for those people because it's very unfair.
Now, when it comes to the layoffs, where would you place the odds that this time around is not going to be furloughs, that there will be actual permanent job losses? And if that were to happen, kind of where, in these next few days would you expect to see it happen?
Well, every agency designates essential workers and non-essential workers. It's not that the non-essential workers are not important. It's just that they are not critical to the day-to-day functioning of certain key things, such as, FBI agents, law enforcement, military, etc. Each agency and each cabinet official is directing their department heads to make lists of, who's essential, who's non-essential. And I think it would be in some of these agencies, the non-essential workers that might start by being furloughed, but then might end up actually being their jobs eliminated. The administration has known for years, as the public has, that the government is still very bloated. And the DOGE effort was a good example or a good dynamic for trying to find the low-hanging fruit of fraud, waste, and abuse. And they found a lot. But we still have not thinned out the ranks of the government employees to the extent that it might be justified. Congress is really good about passing legislation and creating agencies and missions, and they're lousy about oversight. And so we've got agencies that have been around 40, 50 years or longer that have never been reviewed, have never been rejustified. And so I think the Trump administration is going to take this opportunity to do some of that. But I just worry about the impact on people.
Let's get your perspective on this question. We have a pretty active chat on YouTube, and one of the questions from AZ Raider here this morning says, I give a large part of the blame to the president. Democrat or Republican doesn't matter. As president, I feel it's part of their job to bring the two sides together, he says, in his opinion. What are your thoughts on that, and how much power does the president have in this type of a situation where, it's really lawmakers, Senate Republicans and the Democrats all trying, they're working to put something together?
Well, for that to be true, you have to assume that all parties are operating in good faith, and there are times when they're really not. The Democrats under Schumer have made all kinds of demands to the extent of adding another $1.5 trillion of new spending in order to get their votes to do this deal to keep government operating. And the president's looking at a $37 trillion national debt, and so are the Senate Republicans and some of the conservatives in the House, and they're saying this is absolutely unsustainable. And they're right. If we don't bend the cost and the spending curve back down of this country, the country will literally go bankrupt and our currency will become worthless. And 70–80% of the federal deficit will be spent to merely service the debt. That is unsustainable. And so I think the administration sees that, the Senate Republicans see that, the House Republicans see that, but the Democrats are choosing not to become a partner in solving that problem right now. This is all about the primary in New York and Chuck Schumer's political future. But good people are going to be hurt in the process, and that's just wrong.
Steve, we really appreciate your input today. By the way, Celeste, I was just going to mention,
yes,
I'm known for having the messiest desk in the newsroom. So, Steve, I just wanted to call out your paperwork behind you there. You give me a run for my money, pal.
Well, we're the fallback if the federal government is ever nuked or fails or we have a fiscal disaster, I'm the fallback to the National Archives.
Yeah, we can see all those files behind you.
It's not stored on some cloud somewhere. All right, Steve, great to have you on the program today. Thanks again for your time.